people don't help people out when it comes to hundreds and thousands and millions of dollars. You did something in that process that triggered them to want to go and give their largest investment, right? Like, this is their largest investment. They're going to give this opportunity to somebody else, and it's not their fault, right? It is their problem, but it's not their fault. When we follow the right process, your objections start to disappear, resistance in the seller start to disappear, I want to interview other agents disappear. We need to be accountable for our own actions. Were we assuming that they were going to list with us? Did we not have the right structure? I want you to think about your last 3 listing presentations, how they started. Hey, what's up? Vikram Deol here, back at it. So today I wanted to talk to you guys about a couple of things, but before I get into that, Einstein, I believe, said something that is very valuable here. This thinking, right? The thinking that got us to where we're at isn't going to be the same thinking that gets us to where we want to go. So before I go and I talk about why some agents open a listing presentation the same way as 99% of every other agent in the world, right, I'm going to actually show you what I train inside of the Real Estate Sales Academy, what we're actually coaching and training our agents on live every day on how to utilize the opportunities that the seller gives us in a more meaningful manner, right? What does that mean? It means that we get to train the prospect on our process. They get to make the decision. Now, a lot of people push back on me when I say this. A lot of people push back, but Charon came up with this. If you guys don't know who, there's a nice big mosquito right here in front of me. If you guys don't know Charon is the president of Real Brokers. He used to run Telus Properties. Telus Properties was bought by Douglas Elliman. He was very much so in the trenches with his agents at Telus. The reason why is because they were partners, right? And so when I hired Charon and I started working with Charon, I became a friend with Charon 13 years ago. He started giving me little tips that he was giving to his agents that were helping his agents go from 20, 30, 40, 50% wins in the listing appointment to 60, 70, 80, 90, right? Charon went on a spree where he was able to win 96% of every listing he went on. Now, I'll be real. That dude's a crazy beast. So I don't expect most of us to win 96% of every appointment we go on. But the thing is that when we follow the right process, it's possible. When we follow the right process, things start to disappear. Objections start to disappear. Resistance in the seller start to disappear. I want to interview other agents disappear. We need to use our brand. It's the biggest decision of our life. So we're going to use our friend's daughter because we're going to help them out. You guys, people don't help people out when it comes to hundreds and thousands and millions of dollars. You did something, right? I share that with you with integrity and love. You did something in that process that triggered them to want to go and give their largest investment, right? Like, this is a large investment, right? Like, think of this as the home. This is their largest investment. They're going to give this opportunity to somebody else, and it's not their fault, right? It is their problem, but it's not their fault. It was your responsibility as the agent. So before you tune me out and go, oh, this guy's stupid, I hate this guy, we need to be accountable for our own actions. We have to be accountable for the tonality that we brought to the conversation. Were we assuming that they were going to list with us? Did we ask them questions right out the gate that were maybe a little inappropriate? Did we not have the right structure? Now, I want you to pause this video right now, and I want you to think about your last 3 listing presentations, how they started, right? How did they start? You knocked on the door. What happened, right? What happened when you knocked on the door? What was the next step, right? Did you take off your shoes? Did you go and grab a cup of coffee? Did you go on a tour of the home? Who was doing the talking? Who was in control of the conversation? Could you, in the first 20 minutes, have found some space to possibly change your process, right? Now, if you're winning 95% of listings of people you don't know, like, probably don't need to change your process. But if you want more wins, right? Like, If you're winning as many as you want, stop this video. This isn't what you need. But if you're not, right, which most agents I speak to would like to do better, watch this, right? Before you get wild and crazy and tell me that that would never work, here's how we're going to open up the conversation a little bit differently than maybe you've opened up in the past. When you knock on the door, right, that's my knock. Hey, John. Yeah, hey, nice to meet you, John. Looks like we booked in some time today. See if we could possibly get your home sold. Does that sound about right? Right away. We're just going to let him know what the meaning purpose was, right? Make sure we're in the right place. Now, if he says, well, we're not quite sure if we're going to sell it. Oh, yeah. Absolutely. Nobody would make an assumption. We're just going to see if we could possibly help you. Very few times, because we're in a very neutral tone. We're in a very chill, right? We don't even know if we want to help them. Right? Like literally, I don't know when I show up to somebody's house, if I want to help them. If their house is worth $750,000 and they're like, well, we're not going to sell it for a penny less than $950. And oh, by the way, you can't put a sign in the yard. And oh, by the way, you can't put a sign in the yard. You can't do open houses. We don't want you to post it on the internet, right? We just want you to, do you really want that listing? Is it even a listing, right? Oh, well, we're willing to list with you, but, we're only going to give you 2 weeks. They're like, well, okay, if we price it right, but I'm not going to say anything right there. I'm just going to stop. But they're very rarely going to say anything. Now, here's where agents get tripped up at. Where can we sit down and strategize first? No tour. So the minute they say yes, right, because they typically don't say no, right? So, hey, knock, knock. Hey, John, nice to meet you. Looks like we had booked in some time today, see if we could possibly help you get your home. So does that sound about correct? He's like, yeah, sounds about right. Cool. Now, where can we sit down and strategize first? Not, hey, let me follow you and stare at the back of your head while you and your wife are kicking the toys out of the staircase. And oh my God, she has, some delicates that she doesn't want some random dude to see. And oh my God, the kids' room is a mess. And oh, I'm so sorry. And then they go into a 25-minute dissertation about how they changed the crown molding and they changed the baseboards and they added these new fluorescent lights that are right? We had a client that I'm working with that had a 30-minute walkthrough on a 799 square foot house, right? It was a 2-bedroom apartment, nothing crazy, but it was hard once the prospect took over the process. It's hard for you as the agent now to jump in. Oh, and by the way, that company that we're working with, they're going to do $250 million in 2023. So even big teams can use some training, right? So where can we sit down and strategize first? And the reason why we do this, because it's important we understand why we do it. The reason why we do this is because I don't need to go follow somebody around a home for 30 minutes looking at the back of their head. They're turning around. I'm trying to ask questions. They're turning around. And then they start giving you the laundry list of, oh, we changed this, we changed that, right? They're just adding up all the money they spent on the home. The carpet that they changed 10 years ago, is that still something of true value in today's market to a brand new buyer, right? Like, be serious. If you had a 10-year-old set of carpet, that'd be like a set of tires on your car that has 80,000 miles on it. Like, yeah, they still get you to point A to point B, but I don't know if I really want my newborn baby face down in somebody's 10-year-old carpet with shoes on. I don't know what they lived in their home. I don't know what they brought in and out of their home, right? Like dirty shoes, luggage in the airport that goes in and out of bathrooms, and then they roll that up and I don't want all that stuff on my child's face. So that carpet's kind of minimal, but they're like, oh, we spent $20,000 on this carpet 10 years ago. It's in great shape, right? They never say it's in bad shape. It's in great shape. Look at how well it's held up over the years. We think it's worth at least $50,000 now, right? So we want to sit down and strategize first. All right. So now we're going to start to focus on the prospect. But if you did a decent discovery call, right? If you did a good discovery call, like a decent, even if like you use like an old script, that's not what we train inside of the Real Estate Sales Academy, you should still have got some basic information from them, like why they're moving, where they're possibly moving to. Maybe you didn't get where they're moving to. Maybe you did. You should have got like a estimated time frame. Like, ideally hypothetically, when would you like to be in your new home? Okay. And how long have you been thinking about moving for? Oh, okay. Wow, that's a long time. What's prevented you from moving in the past, right? So we should have had some of these rapport built questions built in. So before we get started, right, I guess I should ask you guys, are you ready to list your home with me today? Now, if you don't send them anything from the time you book your appointment to the time that you sit down with them, it could be 3 to 5 days. If you didn't send them a video, if you didn't send them some basic, not a lot because they're not going to look at it, but if you send like a 90-second video, a case study 90-second video, hey, here's how we helped the Smith family that was looking to move out of the neighborhood because they wanted to get closer to their parents. Like whatever they told you, if you have that case study built out in like a 90-second Loom video and you send it to them, they'll watch it, right? If you send them a little bit of collateral in an email, they'll look at it. But if you send them like a long laundry list, they're not going to do it, right? So now before we get started, I guess I should ask you, are you guys ready to list your home with me today? All right, look at the facial. Now, before we get started, I should ask you, are you guys ready to list your home with me today? And you're going to smile. Are you ready to list your home with me today? If they say yes, that means that they've already checked your brand out and they're ready to rock. Cool. They're probably going to have some clarifying question. No problem. But they already have trust in you. Now, if they say no, you're going to be like, oh yeah, no worries. If it's okay with you, can we go ahead and just jump into it? All right, can we go ahead and get started? Absolutely. Right? You still own the process. They own the decision. Now, here's the question that I get from agents. Well, aren't they going to push back saying, don't you want a tour of the home? And if they do say that, and it's only going to happen like your first 2 or 3 times. If they do say that, right, it's because you weren't confident in the way your delivery, your tonality was off. Maybe you were overly excited. Maybe you were underexcited. Maybe they've had a bunch of other people over, so that's what everybody else did. And you're just like, oh, absolutely, I need to definitely see the home. I like to know a little bit more about you guys and what you're looking for, like whether it's a top dollar sale, whether it's a quick sale, right? Like what you think is good in the home, what you think might need some repairs in the property. And then when I walk the property, I can walk it like an actual buyer agent, and then I can give you the appropriate feedback. Would you find that beneficial? Oh yeah, that'd be great, because they want the appropriate feedback, right? That's how we tie it all together. They want the appropriate feedback. Okay. So now we're going to go. So yes, we're not going to be able to get into this today, but inside of the academy, we leave a small package on the door, right? We leave a small package on the front door, not like 1,000-page marketing plan, which is what every other agent does. We leave a top secret package on the front door, and we're going to say, oh, great. Now, do you have the package I left yesterday? Because we're just going to need that in a moment. So you send them to go do something. So now they're doing something instead of watching you. They're doing something instead of watching you. And you go and you get your stuff set up, get all your materials, have it laid out nicely on the table. The only thing that I request is that you don't do it in a living room setting. You do it on a table so you can pass things around. You can have your materials out. So let's say they had responded to a social media post, right? Let's say you're making content. I love it. So I was curious when you went through the ad where if you're on a team, right? If you're on a team, you're going to use a team leader's name if they went through that ad. If it's your personal ad. So I was curious when you went through the ad on my Instagram page, I guess where I was talking about, how we helped the Joneses sell their home when it was listed with another agent and they couldn't. I guess what was it about that post, or what was it about my Instagram page, or what was it about my YouTube page that attracted your attention, right? This is super crucial. Now, if you already have this information from your discovery call, we can skip it. But a lot of agents, when they start learning how to do a listing presentation that's a little bit different, they don't have this information. So if you don't have it, you want to ask this. If you do have it, you're going to just recap. Yeah, so I guess when we were talking on the phone, you said the reason why you wanted me to come over to talk about possibly getting your home sold was because of X, Y, and Z, right? Yeah. Is there anything else that's important to you? Or anything else that maybe you've noticed that might be important to you, right? We want to see what their goal is. All right. We're going to set the frame, right? So the first part of this meeting's pretty basic. It's really more for us to find out if this isn't expired, right? Like what you've been doing in the past to sell your home, what you're doing now to sell your home, and and what you're looking for in your next agent, just to see if what we do could actually help. Because there's just some sellers out there that we can't help. Know what I mean? Right there is like with an expired right there. When you set that frame, what you do is you let them know that not every seller is realistic, right? And there's just some people that you can't help because they're not being super realistic. All right. So the main part of this video was to talk about how we open, right? Just to get to basically the overarching goal of the conversation. You guys notice how we don't go overly complimenting, right? When we start the conversation, we don't overly compliment. We're not telling them that their house is the greatest home in the world. And the reason why is because if you act like you've never, now, if this is a unicorn home and it has a view that's spectacular, don't ignore these things, right? If they have a beautiful garden and it's a beautiful garden, don't ignore these things. But don't, oh my God, I love your front door. I love this. I love that. Don't seem needy to be there. You are the trusted professional. You are the doctor. It would be weird if a doctor who has a patient who's sick comes in and says, oh, I'm so excited you're here today. Oh my God, I love your shoes, your blouse, your shirt, your suit. It would be weird, right? But you do want to pay a compliment, right? You do want to pay a compliment, but you don't want to overly compliment. I've seen agents that we've trained and they start the conversation and they go, oh my God, I love your home. It's the greatest home in the world. And the prospects, like the potential seller, like, oh my God, my house is so great. We have taken great care of it. And in their mind, if you're that excited about it, then everybody should be that excited about it. Or in their mind, they're like, okay, this person's trying to pitch me. But either way, what you're doing is you're lowering your status and raising theirs. You're lowering your status and you're raising theirs. All right. Instead, when they knock on the door, right? When I knock on a door, I'm looking at the property, I'm checking it out, and I have like a little notepad. I'm just writing a couple of notes down. Right. Okay. Yep. We need to clean the cobwebs. Oh, we need to do a little this. Oh, yeah. We need to do a little of that. And instead of them thinking that their home is pristine and perfect, they're curious, like, what am I writing down? What am I talking about? What am I doing? So we want to flip everything with them. I'll see you on the next video. Oh, by the way, if you got some value in this, right, and you want to know how our clients, right, why our clients like Wally and Mario and Molly are having their best years ever, even though they're in economies that are shrinking, right? Less inventory, how they're working with tonality, how we're helping them get their freedom back in their schedules, sell more and have more free time. Wally just got back on 3.5-week vacation in Australia, where he put 5 houses under contract, right? That's not a bad trip. If you want to be like Mario, who gets to do more dancing, right? He loves to do salsa and bachata and everything. He's also runs a couple of different programs within his MLS. Or if you want to be like Molly, who just wanted to spend more time with what she calls her little monsters, her twins, and you want to have a call review done. You'd like to have maybe a audit of your sales process. Maybe you're not sure why you're getting the objections you're getting, right? Well, I had a great conversation with these people, Vic, but they ended up ghosting me. I shared with them everything. I shared with them so much stuff, and then they ghosted me, right? If you're not quite sure why you're not having the success you're having, and you're interested in learning to see if there's some 2mm tweaks you can make, as Tony Robbins says, in your process that'll get you the results you want. Because oftentimes it's just a 2mm tweak. If you're watching this on YouTube, just comment me below and I'll send you a link. If you're watching on one of the other platforms where you can message me, just send me a message. Just type in the word freedom, right? Freedom, so that we can get you the next steps. And I'll see you on the next video. Peace out.